Good evening, and welcome to the Franklin Fire Virtual Community Meeting. This is the meeting for today, Thursday, December 12th, 2024. My name is Jazz Shaw, Public Information Officer. First, I would like to start off with giving some updated numbers on the Franklin Fire. The Franklin Fire currently is at 4,037 acres with 30% containment, and we currently have 1,974 personnel assigned to the incident. Next, you will be hearing from subject matter experts who will be sharing information about current fire suppression efforts, weather, fire behavior, evacuations, utilities, water quality, and we will conclude with an update from our incident commanders. If our viewers have additional questions at the conclusion of this, we will be answering questions in our chat. Please submit your questions in the comments section so that we may address those questions at the conclusion of our presentation. Next, we'll go to an operational update from operations.
Good evening, Drew Smith, Operations Section Chief for the Franklin Fire. So I'd like to give an operational update, but first I'd like to start with a little history lesson on where the fire started and why it got to the size that it did. So when the fire started just below the tunnel on Malibu Canyon, it was in very steep topography, exposed to wind on a red flag condition that supported aggressive fire behavior and spread that led to where we're at today. We've had a change in the weather, which you'll hear about, but let me tell you what we're doing about it today. We've had great opportunity to do perimeter control around the north end of the fire that extends to the east down to Carbon Canyon in that steep topography with our hand crews, our engines, and our aircraft focusing on the perimeter control on the east end of the fire. As we look towards the bottom and going along Malibu proper to where we had the structures, we have a presence in there with our engine companies doing the fire suppression and mop-up endeavor in there and looking for any additional hot spots so we can look at how we can transition into a repopulation phase into that area. As we look at the north end of the fire extending to the west, we're doing our perimeter control with our hand crews and engine companies with progressive hose lays and hand crew operations, also adjoining with our air resources for those suppression efforts. As we walk down towards Corral Canyon, we're still doing the same to getting that line production in with our hand crews for that suppression efforts. When we have this change in the weather, we're taking advantage of that so we can get in deeper to those areas to support that mop-up endeavor. But we know that with the steep, rugged topography, there's areas that are going to be very challenging for us due to the topography and the heavy fuel loading. So we're going to focus with those points with our aircraft, and we're going to focus out where we can get our hand crews in there to support those mop-up efforts. With that, we're feeling very confident in what those air resources and ground resources are doing to support the perimeter control for this. That's the end of operations. Thank you.
Good evening, Rich Thompson, incident meteorologist on the Franklin incident. As Chief Smith alluded to, we did have quite a pleasurable, weather change across the fire today. It was definitely higher humidities today, a lot less wind, cooler temperatures, and even a little bit of rain fell from the sky. So overall, it did help the conditions across the fire. Going into the weekend, weather-wise, we're expecting that continue for Friday and Saturday into Sunday. Temperatures remain on the cool side, humidities generally moderate to high levels. And as for winds, no really major wind issues through the weekend. We're looking kind of northerly winds during the night and morning hours, and kind of a weak onshore sea breeze sort of wind in the afternoon hours. Now, one thing that's in our extended forecast window we're looking for is like the middle of next week, next Tuesday through Thursday. There is potential for another round of Santa Ana winds here across Southern California. At this time, the potential Santa Anas for next week do not look anywhere near as strong as the winds that occurred when this fire began, and so the conditions do not look as severe as it was when this fire began, but still we're looking for the potential for probably moderate Santa Ana winds Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week with low humidities, and so there will be a heightened fire threat across the area.
Good evening. Jan Smoots, I'm the fire behavior analyst for the Franklin incident. So with those better weather conditions that Rich talked about, We've got less potential for any flare-ups or further fire growth. I'd like to remind everybody that the fuels do remain very dry. The brush out there is tall, it's thick, and it's very dry, which is normal for this time of year. All it takes is some strong winds or very steep slopes in order for those, in a heat source, in order for those fuels to ignite and continue to spread. We do have some isolated areas of heat out there, but we're looking forward to the next few days of very favorable conditions to have successful mop-up and suppression operations.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Situ. I'm the captain of Malibu Lost Hills Sheriff Station. I'm happy to report that we made great strides in repopulating some of the communities and returning residents to their homes. I will speak in generalities of which communities have been open to residents only. For specifics, please go to protect.genesis.com. A soft road closure, meaning residents only, remains in effect along Pacific Coast Highway between Corral Canyon and Las Flores Canyon. Several hard closures remain in effect for traffic going north from PCH, Brecco Canyon Road, Sarah Road, and Sweetwater Canyon Road. The following roads are open to residents from PCH and approximately a quarter of a mile northbound from PCH. And those roads are Las Flores Canyon Road, Rambla Pacifica, Carbon Canyon Road, and Corral Canyon. Now remember, after that quarter of mile on those roads, it is a hard closure. We are still in there doing a lot of great work. Utility crews are actively working throughout the affected areas. Approximately 37 individuals have been allowed to return to their homes. However, about 1,600 residents remain under an evacuation order. So that's nearly about 66% of residents have been allowed to return to their homes. We are committed to facilitating the safe return of residents to their homes. As conditions improve, repopulation efforts will continue. Stay informed by going to alert.lacounty.gov for the most reliable and up-to-date information. And remember, if you want the exact openings of the roads, please go to protect.genesis.com. There are a couple questions we have. Is PCH open westbound at Sarah? The Sarah Retreat community is still under a hard closure. And is PCH open to Pepperdine students? If Pepperdine students live on campus, the students can go back. Essential workers be allowed through the closures. That's really depending. Law enforcement will determine what is an essential worker. We want to thank our community for their partnership and trust. We will get through this together. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Kevin McGowan. I'm the director with LA County's Office of Emergency Management. With these positive response developments today, LA County Office of Emergency Management, in partnership with the City of Malibu and the Greater County family, are focusing on establishing an effective recovery program. In LA County, our recovery program planning efforts started within hours of the fire start. This is a pretty typical response for the Office of Emergency Management. We prioritize recovery at the beginning of all incidents. Our main effort in the beginning, early stages of recovery is to establish a really strong organizational structure in partnership with the city. That groundwork's being done right now. There's a ton of components related to recovery. We're going to be working through watershed assessments to protect from future mud and debris flow threats, everything to economic injury and impact from businesses that have been impacted, and then general recovery for community members and affected residences. These components take time. I encourage everyone's patience throughout this process. This community has experienced its fair share of disasters and knows that recovery is a long-term process. As of right now, the best information you can get for our initial phases of recovery can be found by visiting recovery.lacounty.gov/FranklinFire, or you can continue to go to the lacounty.gov/emergency website and find a link to transfer you to the recovery site. And lastly, current damage information will be available on the recovery website via a map. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carolina Hernandez. I'm here representing LA County Public Works. As we enter this phase of recovery, LA County Public Works is here to support in 3 key roles: road safety, water supply, and flood control, or managing mud and debris flows. So to begin with, just public safety is our first priority. So LA County Public Works is here coordinating with Caltrans and other law enforcement to assess road conditions and determine when to reopen them. Motorists returning to the area are advised to use extreme caution when traveling these areas and avoid them if possible. Moving on to water, Los Angeles County Waterworks District 29 continues to monitor its water tanks, serving the customers of Malibu and Topanga. The Sweetwater pump station lost power temporarily, resulting in reduced water pressure in the system to about 22 homes. As a result of this, customers in the Sweetwater Canyon area received a boiled water notice on Tuesday evening. This is specifically Sweetwater Canyon Drive, Ridgemont Drive, and Begledge Terrace. Again, 22 customers on those roads. Those customers, as well as those returning to their homes, can call Waterworks District 29 at 877-637-3661 for any questions or concerns they might have about their water service. Moving on to mud flow and debris, Los Angeles County Public Works is coordinating with the City of Malibu officials to assess locations and potential debris and mud flows. Free engineering advice is available to property owners in burn areas to help them protect their homes against the threat of mud and debris flows. You can request this free service by calling our dispatch at 800-675-HELP. That is HELP 4357. To find more resources and information on mud and debris flow, you can also visit ready.lacounty.gov. So lastly, we also want the public support once you're able to repopulate on helping us in reporting any downed trees or branches, any malfunctioning traffic signals, or flood incidents. Again, our dispatch is available 24/7 at 800-675-HELP. Thank you so much.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Doug Stewart. I'm the mayor of Malibu, and I'm glad to be here with everyone this evening. I want to start by thanking our incredible first responders, our firefighters, law enforcement officers, and volunteers for their tireless efforts to protect lives and property during this challenging time. Their dedication to our community is inspiring, and we will never forget what you've done for us. To our residents, I know how difficult these past few days have been. Being displaced from your homes, worrying about your safety, and waiting for updates. Please know that the city is working around the clock alongside our public safety partners to ensure your safety and to get you back home as quickly and safely as possible. We're here tonight to address your questions, provide updates, and address your concerns. Together, a strong and resilient community, we will get through this and begin the process of rebuilding and recovery. I'd like to add, I know that so many websites have been offered up by so many people. The city is now, this evening, on its splash page, the first page you reach on MalibuCity.org, putting a link is entitled, what's the Franklin Fire link, and you'll be able to go to that site and pick all the other locations you need to go to. It's a common place to start. You don't have to remember all the names. That'll be up and running this evening. I want to thank you for your patience, and your trust, and your cooperation, and looking forward to your questions.
Good evening. I'm Deputy Fire Chief Albert Yanagisawa from the County of Los Angeles Fire Department, one of the Unified Incident Commanders. I'm here to provide you with a update regarding the Franklin Fire. Our damage assessment teams have continued their detailed inspections throughout the fire-affected areas. As of this evening, the Franklin Fire has damaged 10 family residential structures, 1 minor structure, and destroyed 6 residential structures and 6 minor structures. Additionally, fire investigators are continuing their analysis to determine the fire's cause and origin. Their work includes analyzing the point of origin, interviewing on-scene emergency responders, and speaking with the original 911 callers. We understand how distressing these updates are, particularly for those directly impacted. Our thoughts remain with the affected residents and their families, so please be rest assured that our teams are working tirelessly to mitigate the fire's effects and support recovery efforts. We will keep providing updates and more verified information as it becomes available. Thank you for your continued patience, resilience, and cooperation. Stay safe. Have a good night.
Good evening. My name is Dusty Martin. I'm one of the Unified Incident Commanders. So as you heard tonight from all the folks that had spoken before me, we've had a lot of success on the incident over the last couple of days. Today, to be able to get 3,700 residents back into their homes and their communities is a big win. However, the work is not done, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. As you heard from Captain Cito, we still have 1,600 residents that are still impacted by this incident or out of their homes. And I want to ensure each and every one of you, it is our top priority to get you back into your communities and into your homes. But to do that, we have to make sure the area is safe and ready to go. For the folks that have returned to their homes, we ask that you stay vigilant. There will still be firefighting personnel working in the area. Please be mindful as you're driving on the roads. Be prepared for fire apparatus, other utility workers still working in the area, and please keep your speeds down in that area. As a team, as a unified team, we will continue to work to get perimeter control on this incident. Understanding that you may not see smoke and flames currently, but there still is a lot of work to bring full containment to this incident. And we will stay here until we can get the containment and make sure every single one of you is back in your homes and restore some normalcy into your communities. With that, we will be answering questions that you have put in the chat following this. And please continue to write additional questions and we will continue to answer them. Thank you. Have a good night. Stay informed and stay safe.
Thank you for all of the great presentations and the information that was provided to you, our community. Next, we'll move to the question portion of our YouTube chat. So do we have any questions for operations? Okay, come on up. Okay.
Good evening, Drew Smith, once again, Operations Section Chief for the Franklin incident. Have 2 questions here. First question is there any evidence that defensible space in Zone 0 preparation help minimize losses? And the answer is yes. There's plenty of evidence out there based upon the fire spread that the home hardening endeavors and defensible space that all the homeowners are doing in the area does play a significant role in structure defense and the loss that can be minimized due to those efforts from the homeowners. So those of you that did that, we thank you. Second question is, can you explain the 30% containment? There's no flames seen or smoke. Yes, optics can be a lot and take you to a place where you think that what's going on because I don't see any flames or smoke. However, we have mop-up standards, we have perimeter control obligations need to be met because we need to significantly reduce and eliminate the threat for a fire to move once we have control lines. So that's as we talked about those concentrated efforts with your hand crews cutting control line, using our engine companies with hose lines and our aerial support efforts to reduce those heat sources that are proximal to the containment lines that we did. We must ensure that those heat sources are gone. That's why we're taking advantage of this favorable weather to reduce those heat sources. So it is going to take some time. This is a significant fire in steep topography that is hard to navigate, so it will take us some time, and we have to do it in a safe and efficient manner, and that safe and efficient manner comes with some challenges due to this topography that we're in. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we have some questions for the Sheriff's Office.
Good evening. One of the questions, please clarify on the Pepperdine process to allow students in. So please show that you live within the campus. And I know that may be difficult. We are working really hard with Pepperdine, so hopefully we'll get more information on that, but please show proof that you actually live on campus. When will businesses in and around Country Mart and Cross Creek be able to open? So with repopulation, we always want to make sure the residents get in first, be able to allow them to get in, secure their homes, and as quickly as we can, we will fully open, but we're still working on that. Thank you for your patience. If a resident of the colony has a dolphin sticker, can they have access? Malibu Colony is open to residents only, so if you show your ID, you will be allowed in. Residents of Montanito are having trouble getting in even though there's no evacuation order. Will the roadblocks going into Montanito be lifted? So the safest way to get into Montanito, it may be an inconvenience, but that is to go through Mulholland and into the community of Montanito. That is the safest way. Please clarify the PCH closure, seeing a lot of conflicting information. Again, I want to refer everybody to protect.genesis.com. You can type in your address, you can look at a map, it'll give you detailed information as to whether it's all open, it's a soft closure, or if it's a hard closure. Thank you.
Hello, thank you. I want to address some additional questions. This first one I very much appreciate. How's the water running in La Costa? So this is not only an answer for La Costa, but for the entire District 29, so all of Malibu Topanga. I'm very happy to report that we are reaching standard tank levels. Everybody has water. I did mention previously in the presentation that we did have 22 affected customers with a boiled water notice, and that is correct, but actually everyone has water, so all residences should be experiencing water. I have another great question here, and that is, what can homeowners do or expect with mudslides after a fire and rainy season coming? I think that's a fabulous question. I'm so glad that you asked. We actually, again, I'm going to repeat the resource that we have online that has very detailed information and some great pamphlets for you. So if you can visit ready.lacounty.gov, we have some great recommendations for homeowners and how to prepare. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we have some questions for LA County Fire Department. Chief?
So I received a question. It says, should we open windows and doors or keep them closed for smoke and ash? And so if there's smoke and ash around your home that could come into your home, if you leave your doors and windows open, for sure you should close them. But at some point for fresh air, it's important to open your windows and doors, and I as long as there's no smoke and ash, that's fine.
Good evening. There's a question about FEMA and state assistance programs. So I want to be very precise about this, and this becomes very technical. So I apologize in advance, but I'm going to try my best to convert federal bureaucracy and administration into like everyday kind of understanding. So the FEMA program that was approved early on in this incident is called a Fire Management Assistance Grant, an FMAG for short. That provides recovery costs for first response, public safety protective measures, what we call Category B, emergency response costs. That does not provide recovery programs that we were familiar with in the Woolsey fire. So public assistance and individual assistance. Individual assistance is the program that provides resources to community members and businesses. So as of right now, there are no approved state or federal programs for recovery for communities and businesses. So the county, in partnership with the city, are working day and night to assess the damages, and then we'll work with our state and federal partners to unlock any programs that we would be eligible for. So let me take a second to talk about eligibility. For eligibility for FEMA programs, we have a really significant threshold we have to meet just to be in consideration for those programs. That threshold is over $40 million worth of damage of uninsured costs. So we will work diligently with the state, with the city partners to assess all of these damages and then work towards accessing any programs. But I want to reiterate, right now, there are no recovery programs at the state or federal level that have been authorized for this incident. So as of right now, this will be a locally run recovery program, and we'll continue to work with our state and federal partners to assess damages and try and maximize any potential programs that we would get.
So one of the questions are short-term rental guests considered to be residents? Are they allowed to enter the homes they are renting? Not at this time. If you do not have a valid ID or something that says that you live at a specific address in the affected area, you will not be allowed in. Again, it's residents only. And I just want to clarify, someone's been asking about where they can go. It's protect. And Genesis is spelled GENASYS.com. And also it's been posted in the chat. Thank you.
Question is what is the current fire risk to Montanito? And I can tell you, based upon the current footprint of the fire and the suppression efforts, it's very low based upon the current and forecasted weather. Thank you.
Okay, we have some more questions? Okay.
A question came in about school closures. Right now, we recommend everyone refer to their specific school information for the status of their school. So again, school closures are very dynamic. So please refer to your specific school, whether it's an elementary school or high school, junior high, for the status on their school closure. The incident is in coordination with all of the schools, but it's very much school specific. So please refer back to your school for specifics.
Quick clarification on that. All the Malibu schools will be closed on Friday. Santa Monica schools are open. And as he said, check the local school website for conditions for next week.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from our YouTube online viewers? It looks like we do have a couple of questions. They're disseminating where those questions will be, so who our subject matter expert will be to answer those. So if you can just stand by, we'll have our next speakers come back up and try to get all those answered for you. We want to make sure that the community gets all of their questions answered, and we really appreciate that you put that information and all your questions in the chat. Is anybody else ready to come up with additional questions? Thank you.
Are residents who have been allowed to repopulate able to come in and out of the area, recommended or not? So just remember, the answer is yes. You can get in through with your ID. But remember, deputies are trying to get everybody in as quick as possible. and that really does kind of slow things down. So I would say please limit the times that you go in and out of the zone. Question: can you please elaborate on Montanido? There is no safety issue to access off of Las Virgenes Piuma. Please explain for the road closure into the community. So we have to take a lot of things into consideration, and one is utilities. And so that is some of the reason. And again, please, I know it's an inconvenience, but please go through Mulholland into Montanido. We are working diligently to get that open as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our questions and answers portion. I believe that we can leave the chat open, so if the questions that were not answered, we can go into the chat and reply there directly in that chat on YouTube. So thank you again for all the great participation to our viewers and our community here that presented to our community, as well as all the great questions that you asked of our presenters. We hope that all of your questions were answered, and again, we will continue to monitor that chat, so if questions were not fully answered, we can make additions in there. For additional information, you may visit these websites, so please visit fire.ca.gov. Again, fire.ca.gov. Also, lacounty.gov/emergency. Again, that is lacounty.gov/emergency. This concludes our community meeting for this evening, and thank you very much for joining us.